Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. How's it going? Good news, it's been a much better week than last week. Gateway this week, mile and a quarter, two very different turns at either end, a real different challenge to what we've been seeing so far. So coming off the front stretch, 1 and 2, very high banking, you want it to be as loose as possible coming through here. 3 and 4, wide but very flat. Here you want the car to be as tight as possible. No time to waste, let's get on with race 1. Got a nice mug here of the old fizzy pink to speed us on our way. Now then, starting P2, all about the threat from P3 here. What we're going to do to deal with him is we're just going to force him narrow. The inside line is a massive trap here. You want to be up as high as possible, driving back down and getting that good exit. Yeah, you just can't hang with us on that low line. It's extremely difficult to overtake on the low line here unless you're much faster than the cars ahead. And as we carry on round... Oh, bugger. Caution time. See you in a moment.
Much later.
Now then, sometimes on an oval you just get a cursed race, and this was one of them. We're at lap 20, we haven't completed a green flag lap yet, so let's have a look at this restart. He just disappears. It's possibly the best restart we've ever done. Flying away, straight into 1 and 2, we're going to get a brilliant 1 and 2. If this is the last caution before green, we are absolutely laughing. We've got the race in our pocket. I'm feeling so good at this point. I can't believe how well it's going. And out comes the caution flag. Well, let's have a look at that again from the other driver's perspective. And the cause is all too plain to see. He's been cruising around the caution in 6th gear. He knocks it down into 3rd for the restart. But in these Indy cars, there's no way to restart other than 1st. He notices, but much too late. The damage is done, and I'm just going to disappear from him. Coming into 1 and 2 now, he doesn't have a very good time of it either. He gets a chunk of my dirty air, really hunting for the best exit possible, knows he's got time to make up, and he hits the curb. You really don't want to be hitting the curb, but the caution saves him.
5 minutes later.
Right, race situation on lap 30, very finely balanced. We've pitted for fuel, quite a few people haven't. I can make it all the way to the end, and I'm the leader of the cars who can do that. Difficult moment though, because now we need to go and overtake people. We can't afford to get stacked up here in case Anthony behind us can move in and make a move on us. Into 1 and 2 we go. We get a great run on this guy. We get such a good run that we actually tap him on the inside as we try to pull out. Sorry, I think that was netcode. But into 3 and 4, no time to waste. Bit of Yahoo, throw it up the inside. He has to get out the way. We're well through. Anthony follows through behind us, seeing the chance. 2 more to go. They're obviously slow. Up the inside, we're going to take that low line that we talked about earlier, but because I'm so much quicker than them, I can hold the speed.
Hey boys, that was a green flag lap.
And now Red Bull livery, see you later. Up the inside into 3 and 4 once more. Slide up in front of him, tip some dirty air on. We've done exactly what we needed to do, clearing the traffic and making sure we haven't lost track position. The only bad part of all this is that Anthony has managed to follow me through just as quickly. He's now tucking in behind. He's going to be a problem later on.
5 minutes later.
Right then, lap 40 now, and you guessed it, there's been another caution. As you can see up at the top right, everyone in front of us except one driver has now pitted for fuel. They had to. They couldn't make it to the end. Right, similar problem as last time. Driver in front of us who we really could do with clearing. Faster driver behind us who we really don't want to get past. But good news as well, number 2, 5 laps down, rear gunning for us. Now Shane was playing the earlier game of just holding off, pitting at every caution, staying at the back and making sure that he always had the most fuel possible. It's worked out pretty well for him so far, but what's going to happen next? Meanwhile, for us, this is a really tricky part of the race. On the one hand, we've got to try and get past P1. On the other hand, we've got to try and avoid getting overtaken by P2. Right, lap 43 now, and the tide unfortunately has turned just a little. Alvaro's got enough speed to keep ahead, and we're now coming under serious pressure from behind. As we come into 1 and 2 once more, we just get slightly out of shape. That's all the invitation that Anthony needs behind us. He gets a good exit, he's to the inside, I've got a decision to make, and my decision is, I want to live today. Through he goes, not a lot we could do about it. Let's take a look from his perspective now as he follows in, gets a very, very good run up the front stretch. Higher on entry, carrying the speed. I saw it coming, I didn't want to block it. Now I was hoping that maybe he could trip over P1, and then on lap 70 now, that's pretty much all the hope we've got left. They've both driven away from us a little, and we're left with hoping that they can take each other out and let us inherit the win. Alvaro's out of fuel, he's got a pit, and there's nothing between Anthony and victory. This is now just about race management, accepting, yep, we've got a P2, we've got 20 seconds behind us, let's just bring it home nice and calmly. Now then, participation's been down this week, and that means there's been a lot of single split sessions. When you get a single split session, just have a look over on the left. You get people in like Trace Shadid, Mark Murphy, Josh Tucker, Crash Neon, all very high I rating, all regularly competing in very high level competition. When you find yourself in a split like this as a driver with my experience level, you really do have to just limit your expectations. Here's a good example. Crash comes up behind us, he's much faster, and when he gets a good run, we're not going to dispute it, we're not going to cause him to lose time, we're not going to cause us to lose time. We just move over, on you go son, I will try to follow you for as long as I possibly can, because that's what I need to do to maximise my own result. So I got my head down, followed him as best I could, and then of course the inevitable caution came out.
5 minutes later.
So a crucial strategy decision. Caution on lap 24, that's a good 7 laps short of the fuel window. I chose to come in anyway. I was banking on at least one more caution before the end. And what was more, I managed to come out as the second place driver who chose to pit, behind only Trace who had been leading. Now the next part of this race took a lot of strategy and very little ego. I know that there is no way I can get past and stay the other side of Trace. He's just too fast, so what I'm going to do is sit in his draft for as long as possible and try to follow him through the traffic. Not trying to go straight through, seeing he was taking that low line, coming up high, getting the better run, getting myself alongside, and now we're going to have to dispatch him nice and quickly so we can stay in that draft ahead as long as possible. Really happy with how I managed this portion of the race, and I think it was a big part of why I managed to finish in the position that I finished. And then we got what we wanted, another caution happened, and we were going to make it on fuel.
5 minutes later.
So this is a really good position as we come to the restart. We're still behind Trace, everyone except one in front of us is pitted, and we've got a couple of people who I think I'm on pace with, who can hopefully defend from the faster drivers as long as possible, and who knows, maybe give us a bit of time to run away before we eventually get caught. Again, very much about discipline, very much about just driving as fast as we can without overdoing it, and hoping that that'll be enough to see us through. Following Trace as close as we can for as long as we can. I know he's going to run away, but we'll make the most of him while he's here. Lap 58 now, here's Mark Murphy coming up behind us. He's cleared all the traffic in front of him, and now he's got us well and truly in our sights. Again, I'm not going to make anything easy for him, I'm not going to just leap out of his way, but if he gets the run, I'm not going to resist it. That'll just slow the both of us down, and possibly even take the both of us out. And here comes the run. He's to the inside. I'm going to let him have it. And another caution. We get to stay in front of him for a few more laps. Had some good banter during the caution as well. He's a good bloke. Really enjoyed it.
5 minutes later.
So here we go then. Lap 63. We're restarting with Mark in chase cam view. And we're going to see how he chases me down and makes the pass, because it's going to happen. Doesn't go for it all at once, just eases himself nicely back in. He knows that he's got this person in the yellow car, he doesn't need to take any risks. He's going to play himself in gently and then reel me back in. And you can see now it's just getting closer and closer and closer, hundredths of a second becoming tenths of a second. That's the difference between a 1.5k to 2k driver and a 5.4k driver. And while he catches me, do let me know what you think of this. If you want to smash the like button, if you're enjoying yourself, I'd appreciate that. If you want to tap the subscribe button, get notified of when I've got more videos coming up, do that as well. And do remember, the thing about using those features is that you're helping yourself. The YouTube algorithm relies on you. If you tell it what you like, it can then serve you more content that's like the stuff that you've already liked. So your experience is getting better, and you're helping me as well. Right, time for a bit more race management. Here comes Mark. I can see he's got the run. I leave the door open for him. He says thank you very much. Bosh. Looking at the relative at top left, we can see that P4 is stuck quite a way back. And again, the rest of this is just about lack of ego and race management. Here comes Peter Dempsey through. Now, he was one of the leaders earlier. We raced with him before. We know he's faster than us. So I just got on the radio and I said, mate, if you want to go through, on you go. I know who my race is with, and it's not you. Same thing again on lap 76. Here comes Joshua Tucker behind us, and I don't care. Only thing I care about is the gap to Austin in P4. That's a healthy 4.7 seconds, and the best chance I have of preserving that gap is if I'm not fighting for no reason with people who are much faster than me, just because they're a few laps down. So looking in my mirror, which unfortunately you can't see, I know that he's got the run. Through you go, mate. Leave the door nice and wide open for him. He takes it. Jobbed. Get tucked back in, make up as much time as I possibly can. Let's just bring it home nice and calmly. And so while the fast lads have their extremely close fight, less than 0.3 of a second in it, we're just going to chill in third, take our P3, and you know what? I haven't managed to win at Gateway, but best of the rest in a field like this, as good as a win for me. Coming around on the final lap, taking it nice and easy. Don't want any adventures or excursions, just cruising around, still got a 2.5 second gap, going to use as much as that as I feel comfortable doing, and there we go, best of the rest in a very strong field. I'm very proud of that. Cheers. Alright then, race 3. I do not screen record every race I do, and the thing is, pretty much every other race I tried to screen record was just completely cursed. You know, the vast majority of them I either get taken out, or I wall myself in turn 2, which is the classic mistake here. Right then, starting from P2, really looking to settle in early and get a good run. Did you hear that lift? That was me recognising that I was on the power a bit too early and I was about to wall it. Good thing about being able to do a screen recorded race is that you get my in-car adjustments, you get my fuel calculator, and you get all the functions of iOverlay, including live lap times. One of the less good features is that although you've got my face driving, I've managed to cover up the inputs, which I didn't realise at the time. Sorry about that. So settling into this one quite nicely. We did get a decent green flag run to start, and it's all about trying to keep up with P1 and ditch P3. Lap 9 now, and P1 has ditched us, P3 still in close attendance.
That was dirty.
5 minutes later.
Can we close the gaps up?
Right, on this restart, pay careful attention to P3 in my mirror. Don't worry about anything in front of me, just look behind.
Pretty, please? Like you'll like losing. Would you close the gaps up? Go, guys!
The yellow flag is out. Line up.
Not to worry, let's have another go.
It's closed right now. Let the pace car by.
5 minutes later.
So yeah, still trying to figure out what happened to P3 there. If I had to guess, I'd say he had a very high weight jacker put in. He saw P1 turn aggressively down the hill. He turned aggressively down the hill, accelerated, and just dropped it. Now I assume this is a deliberate tactic from P1 to break the draft.
Alvaro, you're getting protested, man. That's ridiculous.
I wasn't going to tell him this at the time, but he really didn't need to do that to break the draft, but hey ho. Once more, we're just trying to settle in behind the faster P1, hang on to his back for as long as possible, and get whatever we can get from the race. It's interesting, I've been in a lot of races with very few cautions, but I always seem to crash out of them. The ones I always did well in were the messy stop-start ones.
5 minutes later.
Pretty, please? Catch up? Like, I don't know how to ask any nicer. There's like 12 car lengths between some of you people.
Paid car is off.
Go!
Right then, same drill again. Now, there's going to be another caution, spoilers, but watch the mirror, because something very important is going to happen there.
David, you'll know who to blame on the replay.
There, number 9 David has got a really good run on number 7 David out of 1 and 2, and he's jumped up into P3. That would prove to be very important later.
Like, I mean, it's fairly obviously he's doing, and a few people have complained about it.
24.992.
Whoop, wrecking in 4.
The yellow flag is out. They want
And there's the
That's what I
caution.
get for talking.
Pit road is closed. Catch up 2 car.
5 minutes later.
Right, we're going to take track position and stay out. We are just outside the fuel window.
Just remember, you can't pass on the inside before green, so if you're letting by, miss.
That's why I'm giving him the outside.
However, look out for P15 Mike and P18 Bill as we go through the rest of the race.
Green, green, green. 18.532.
Spoilers again, we're going to get a good green flag run this time. And look at how much closer to us number 9 David is compared to anyone else who's been behind us so far.
Come on, man.
994.
Lap 35 now, still trying to hang on to Peter, still with number 9 David in close attendance.
452.
Up the backstretch now, and picking your turn-in point for 3 and 4 is really difficult. You do want to get to the inside through 4, but it's a very long corner. And if you get to the inside too early, you'll either have to slide the car or lift and lose time. And a few laps later, here's an example of just that. I get to the inside too early. I have to add extra wheel, I slide, and here comes David. Now I really do need to get a good 1 and 2. Nice high line, turn down early and get the power on as soon as possible. But that doesn't happen. I'm much too shallow. David not only has a better line, he has clean air. Yeah, have it, mate, have it. Situations like this can be really difficult. You just don't know if the other driver's going to turn in on you or not. And I'm making it clear, I've lost this position. You take it. I'll tuck back in and see if I can get a better chance later on. Could this be the chance now on lap 54? We're approaching Bill Colley. You may remember earlier that he pitted and he's running long. We're still to pit, and if we can put him a lap behind us, so much the better.
Outside. Go low. Clear outside if you want it.
Nicely done up the inside. It's very possible that he's now having to actively save fuel to make sure he gets to the end.
Fuel left.
Lap 58, fuel running down. We could go another lap, but again, traffic ahead, we're going to pit 1 lap before we need to and avoid any nonsense with the traffic. Just 0.2 seconds between us as we start to brake for the pit entry, and here 2 really scruffy entries that are brilliant adverts for why you need to practice your green flag pit stops. When you need them, you really need them.
2, 1. Right here.
Into the box now. Oh, and on top of a scruffy entry, it's a really scruffy stop in the box. Practice your green flag pit stops.
Okay, go. Be mindful, you only have 1 set of tyres remaining. The leader is coming up on you. They're not outside. The car behind is pitting. That car is a lap down.
We've lost nearly 2 seconds there. There's cars between us, and that's going to make passing P2 even more difficult than it needs to be. Careful on the outlap. Tyres are still cold, and cold tyres here can be very deadly. Just settle in, get your head down, and try and make that gap back up. Now, I completely failed to notice this at the time, but have a look at the left-hand side of the screen. Thank you, sir. That's why we were so cautious on pit exit. It's really easy to do on cold tyres and high weight jacker. We've got 3 people ahead of us who look to have had a better fuel strategy than us, and unless something happens, P6 could be all we get.
The yellow flag is out. They want you in single file. Pit road is closed. Catch up, no. Car.
And it has happened. And we'll see as we come round 3 and 4, not only has it happened, but it's P2. P2's dead. Mike P1 and Bill P4 must be absolutely cursing their luck.
Pit road's open.
5 minutes later.
So here we go. From here, it's a 4-lap sprint. Mike's pitted and come out just behind us on very fresh tyres. Bill has stayed out, and he's going to have enough fuel to get to the end. We're going to have to defend against Mike and try and find some way past David and Bill. Watch the mirror. Vitally important moment. We just leave Mike standing, and he's now no longer going to be a factor. That's a huge weight off our mind.
Nice work. 8.979.
Right then, next problem. Bill. Very old tyres, very little fuel. David's going to go first. We've got to make our way past Bill without some horrible calamity. And there, see how wide Bill goes in 3 and 4? That tells me his tyres just cannot stand up to it. Not only is it safe to go for it as soon as possible, it's safe to try and follow David through 1 and 2. And there it is, 2 and a bit laps to try and find a way past.
Two laps to go. 2 to go. 24.408. You're now in third.
And there, see that? David feeling the pressure. He's got to go to the inside to cover me off.
0.971.
I'm just looking to stay tight to him and see what I can make happen. I've got the run. It's go to the inside or run him over. And as we come into 1 and 2, I just realised that my entry is too narrow. I don't trust myself to be able to stick this. If I try to hold it on the inside, I'm going to take us both out. So I ease off, step on the brakes, settle for P3, and that's a very good finish indeed. This was actually the first race I'd done since the no good, horrible, very bad week, and I was really happy with it. GG's number 2, F to everyone whose strats got screwed up by the late caution.
Good job. Very good job.
Yeah! We're back! Next week we're at Homestead. I've already been there in the Arca car. I've really got along well with it, and I'm looking forward to see how the Indycar will do. See you next week.